Welcome to another startup and complete car documentation. What we're looking at today is a 2012 Ford Taurus SEL.
This Taurus is painted in cinnamon metallic.
On the key, you have the buttons for lock, unlock, panic, and trunk release. The front door panels have storage areas with bottle holders. And of course you get power windows, locks, and mirrors.
This SEL has the available leather seat upholstery and is finished in the light stone interior color scheme.
Both front seats have partial power adjustments. And now that we're behind the wheel, let's go ahead and start the engine.
So the Ford Taurus made its debut for model year 1986 as a mid-size family car available as either a sedan or a wagon to compete with similarly classed models like the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord. Although nowadays the Taurus may appear as just another average car, the model was actually way more revolutionary than it might appear to be at first glance. Back in the mid-1980s, most American cars looked very boxy, with squared-off, sharp-angled styling, and pretty much only circular or rectangular headlight shapes. But when the Taurus came along, it looked like just about nothing else on sale at that time. It had a much more sleek, rounded, and streamlined design to it compared to most other cars of its era, and this type of styling language would pave the way for how cars look nowadays. When it came to sales, the Taurus was also a massive hit, and by the mid-90s it was America's best-selling passenger car. The Taurus would go on to be made for 6 generations, up until 2019 when it was ultimately discontinued, at least for North America. For the model's last decade or so, the Taurus also became a full-size sedan, and in fact Ford's flagship four-door car. Despite being dropped after 2019 domestically, the Taurus actually does still live on in select international markets, with 7th and 8th generations being produced. So this 2012 model we have today represents the 6th generation of the Taurus, which was produced from model years 2010 through 2019, and was also the last generation of the Taurus for North America. The 6th gen Taurus rides on the Ford D3 platform, which was also used by the Lincoln MKS. The 6th generation was also the first generation of the Taurus to not have a Mercury Sable platform sibling. Another thing notable about this generation was the return of the high-performance Taurus Show, or Super High Output, now making 365 horsepower courtesy of a twin-turbo V6. Ford also made a police-spec version of the 6th gen Taurus, replaced in the Crown Vic, known as the Police Interceptor sedan. The 6th gen Taurus got its most significant update for the 2013 model year, which was a mid-cycle refresh. Aside from some updates to the interior and exterior styling, it also got a new base turbo 4-cylinder engine option. That of course makes this 2012 a pre-facelift. The US market Taurus came in the following trim levels for 2012: SE, SEL, Limited, and the High Performance Show. 2 different engines are offered across the range. SE through Limited got a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 with 263 horsepower, whereas the Show gets a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 with 365 horsepower. The sole transmission is a 6-speed automatic, and your drivetrain options are front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, depending on the trim level. Competitors for the Taurus in 2012 included the Chrysler 300 and Chevy Impala, among other full-size sedans. In Ford's US 2012 sedan lineup, the full-size Taurus was the largest, slotting above the mid-size Fusion.
The instrument cluster houses 4 analog gauges, which are your speedometer, tachometer, fuel gauge, and temperature gauge, as in most cars. And there's also a digital info display, which can be gone through via the controls right here on the dashboard. This is what you get when you push info. Then with setup, you get even more stuff to go through, mainly just some settings. It has a 4-spoke design, leather-wrapped, multifunctional steering wheel. There are sport grips at 10 and 2. As for controls, you have your cruise control, and then on this side you have your audio and hands-free phone controls. There are also paddle shifters to manually shift the transmission. The steering wheel is tilt and telescopic. The parking brake is foot-operated. Your headlight switch, panel dim, climate vent for the driver. You have your high beam, turn signal, and wiper stalk. Going down the center of the interior, you have your info display controls, your hazard switch, passenger airbag indicator, traction control toggle, central climate vents. Right here is your whole radio interface. Got a display info screen, presets, some controls right here, takes you through various different menus and settings and whatnot. You can get through via that. You also got seat track. Right here, you have some more physical controls. You got your volume, power, and tuning knobs, and then shortcut buttons for, well, your different ways to listen to music. Got AM, FM, Sirius XM, and this car is old enough to still have a CD player, which is nice. Then you've got your dual zone automatic climate control. All those controls are within here, along with your 2-stage heated front seats. Got a power outlet and some storage. Little cup holder. A couple more cup holders. Center console. Got an aux port, USB port, and another power outlet. Got your power trunk release. And the glove box is lockable. Both sun visors do have vanity mirrors and lights. On the overhead console, got your overhead lighting, a sunglass holder, and your one-touch automatic power sunroof controls. But now we'll go ahead and roll down the driver's window. The driver's window is fully automatic. And have a look at the engine bay.
Standard on the SEL trim are these 18-inch 5-split-spoke alloy rims. Powering the SEL is the Taurus's base engine for 2012, that being Ford's Duratec 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6. It's a dual overhead cam 24-valve power plant with variable valve timing, and it puts out 263 horsepower at 6,250 RPM, along with 249 pound-feet of torque at 4,500 RPM. The Taurus in this video is a front-wheel drive model, and setting that power to those front wheels is a 6-speed automatic transmission with manual shiftability. Running on regular unleaded with a 19-gallon fuel tank, EPA estimates for a Taurus equipped like this one are 18 mpg in the city and 27 mpg on the highway. It has a McPherson strut front suspension and a multi-link rear suspension. Stopping the Taurus are, of course, 4-wheel disc brakes with ventilated front ones. Curb weight for the Taurus can range from 4,000 to 4,200 pounds.
I really like how this one doesn't have a massive engine cover. You can actually get a really good look at the engine itself. The back door panels also have storage areas with bottle holders. "60/40" split folding rear seats to aid cargo space. So both of the front seats have storage pockets in the seat backs. Got coat hooks on both sides. Rear passengers also get their own climate vents and power outlet. And there's also a folding center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now, space back here is someone who's about 6'1". I think I could be pretty comfortable driving it with a seat like this. And space is not too bad. It's a pretty comfortable back seat. I do think headroom is surprisingly good for a sedan. Usually, you know, 4-door sedans and coupes tend to not have the best headroom for taller people. But this one, they really raised the headliner up. And then legroom is pretty sufficient. I know my legs are kind of close to the front seat, but that's just because I have it pretty far back. If you're a bit smaller, or if the person in front of you is shorter, they have the seat even slightly up further. I could see this being a really good back seat. Even in my circumstances right now, I wouldn't mind riding on this for a trip. But you would expect that from a full-size sedan. Unfortunately, the Taurus was discontinued after 2019. Well, the Taurus was actually at one point the most popular car in America in the 90s. But yeah, crossovers happened, and crossovers are all the rage. Many sedans, also the Impala, sedan after sedan are just being discontinued. Does have dual exhaust.
The The trunk of the Taurus offers 20.1 cubic feet of cargo space.
And this trunk is noticeably cavernous. Usually sedans and coupes with traditional trunks don't have as much cargo space as SUVs, crossovers, hatchbacks, wagons. But this, for a sedan with a traditional enclosed trunk, hits a really massive amount of space, and the back seats can be folded down to improve that even more. But one of the perks of buying a full-size sedan. And as you saw earlier, the fuel door is on the passenger side. Anyhow, thanks for checking out this tour of this 2012 Ford Taurus. And as always, stay on the lookout for future tours.